Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Peace, peace, peace. Peace, love and light, peace, family. Welcome back to another episode of Mineral Ministries. I am your host, Minister Moreland, and we are opening up, as always, with our mantra, Om Mani Padme Om. And why this mantra, right? Why this mantra? This is a very neurological balancing mantra, right? And it supports helping you get into flow state. It helps and supports you get into theta state. And it also supports when you hum, that if you continuously hum for anywhere from 15 to 60 seconds, you increase the nitric oxide flow. And more nitric oxide flow, that allows you to get into flow state, right? It eradicates confusion or brain fog, and it brings you into balance. It brings your brain into that particular state where you can tap into the things that we're about to speak on in this upcoming discourse. This is Mineral Ministries, episode 161. And today I wanted to title this The Reclamation. Today I don't want to talk about doom and gloom. Today I don't want to talk about, what they are planning to do. I don't want to talk about that. I want to speak about the reclamation. I want to speak about reclaiming our power and our sovereignty, right? Yes, I want to speak about us being the jewel in the lotus. So, how appropriate that we will open up on that particular mantra. But, like I said, this information and this instruction, right, it's not useful to you if you're just in the audience just listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really applicable that you do some of the things that are suggested so you can get the full benefit, right? Such as, like I said, when you hum for prolonged periods of time, 15 to 20 seconds, you increase the nitric oxide in your blood flow. Increasing the nitric oxide in your blood flow is going to put your brain waves in a particular state where you can be in flow state. You can be fully receptive, you can be fully present, and you can be fully intentional with the information that we're about to share, right? And you can fully be immersed in your experience, but you could be doing things for yourself and your body that also are tantamount to healing in real time. Locking the tip of the tongue to the roof of your mouth. And even if you're in the audience and you're not prepared because you're hearing this and you might be out and about and you like, not right now, family, I just tapped in because I seen you go live. Come back to this information and at some point accept the challenge. And the challenge is that we are past knowledge. We are past the age of influence. You know what I'm saying? We are now in a new timeline. We are in a new demonstration. We give so much energy to CERN talking about what they're doing to timelines and how they're altering timelines. And the name of this has changed and the name of that has changed. But how much time do we spend demonstrating what it actually looks like to be on a new timeline? How much time do we spend actually embracing the concept that if we are on a new timeline, that denotes the fact that we should be doing something new, right? And how do you also affirm to yourself that you didn't switch your timeline, right? That because not only are you holding on to memories of old, not only are you affirming that things are as they have always been, right? But you're also, once again, allowing yourself the opportunity to embrace something new and to do something new. And you have the ability, right, with every given day, with every new second to do something new. The potentiality is in you. It's not that it's available and it's available to somebody else, but it passed you over. Every single day is a reset. Every single day is a reclamation. Every single day is an opportunity to do the day what did not get done yesterday and to do it in a way today that has never been done before, right? The potentiality of what every second holds is the promise of tomorrow. And that's what we wake up and we embrace. That's the bliss that we all exist in. The promise of a tomorrow, right? The potentiality that what a second from now holds, right, has the probability in it for it to be an infinite amount of selections. Why can't it be your day? Why can't it be your moment? Why can't it finally be the moment that you figured it all out and you decided to do and not just listen? You know what I'm saying? So we are in the season of Leo. We're gonna do things in the Jupiter Leo way. We're gonna wear our lion manes out, right? We're gonna make big, bold claims. We're going to tap into our black boy joy because Leo is a sign of children and fun. We're going to get into full athleticism because the sun is at its highest peak. So it should be activating these melanated avatars that you are housed in to do the miraculous, to do the unimaginable, to do things that, you know what I'm saying, will even make you look back and be like, well, goddamn, every single day I open this app, there's somebody with an RIP message about someone who I did not think it was their day. I would not been able to have to guess in hundreds of years that this person on this day, it would be their last day. And I'm just seeing that continuously up and down the timeline every single day that I open this app up. You know what I'm saying? And it's reminding me that, you know, the potentiality of a second from now holds the promise of tomorrow, but tomorrow's not promised. The potentiality of a second from now holds the promise of tomorrow, but tomorrow's not promised. I said the potentiality of a second from now holds the promise of tomorrow, but tomorrow's not promised. So it's mad people that's checking up out of here. They just not waking up, or they're just leaving in a way in which people is like, they feel like it's too soon. I heard the brother Alley Boy make a proclamation and say, I feel like I lived 3 lifetimes. I'm ready to go, right? So a lot of people are making peace with the fact that they won't be waking up tomorrow. And that also is very liberating to see, for me to see that people are making peace with the fact that they won't be waking up tomorrow, because the probability of a second from now holds the promise of tomorrow, but tomorrow's not promised, right? And what's the probability that your tomorrow won't be promised? I'm not here to do that math for you or do that math with you, right? But I'm here to remind you that a second from now is priceless and it should be treated as such. So today should be the best day of your life. And I'm going to make sure that the seconds and the minutes that you spend with me today won't be wasted on banter, right? On me ego indulging, right? Let's promise one another that we won't waste one another's time, because time is the most precious commodity that we have, while they talking about time ain't real, right? I'm seeing a lot of people unexpectedly run out of time. So we owe it to ourselves to say the things that need to be said. Everybody has a song inside of them that needs to come out. Every poet has a poem in them that needs to be published. There are people in the audience that have a movie that need to be made, right? There are people that have a dance that need to be stepped. There's an idea that needs to be birthed. There's a plan that needs to be finished, right? There's some food that needs to be ate. There's some shit that needs to be shat. You understand me? So these are all of the unlimited potentials that every second holds. You know what I'm saying? And the promise of tomorrow is in a second from now. So we need to hold on to, you know, these moments in time that we feel, you know, that we're passing through so randomly. No, all of this has meaning. All of it has purpose. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you're still here, the fact that you're still in the game, the fact that you have been chosen to wake up on this morning and participate in this now moment means that you one of them ones. You know what I'm saying? So we would never be pitching pearls to swine, because you far from swine, right? You the chosen ones. You made it here today, right? The probabilities were in your favor today. And here we are. So today is episode 161 of Mineral Ministries, and it's titled The Reclamation, right? We're reclaiming our time, right? And I'm saying that our time is now. I'm saying that in the Mayan calendar, because we are in the Americas, we are on the continent of America, we are in the hemisphere of the West, are we not? Or am I, you know, freestyling? If we are, then the Mayan calendar, today is day 1. Yesterday was the day out of time, which is day 0. So let's respect other people and their calendrical systems as well, their calendar systems, especially for those that aspire to tell their own time or to have their time respected, right? And their timelines respected and their history respected, their versions of timelines. Again, we keep speaking about CERN. If CERN can shift alternate dimensional timelines, then who's to tell you that your version of history is not real, right? But are you living in it is the challenge. Because I see these people that are creating artificial timelines that are firmly standing in it. They're giving you the theatrics to go along with it. They're sticking to the code of it, even if they're writing the code as it goes along, right? They're more retrofitted to your narrative than you are. But the most noise that you're making is complaining about somebody else playing your narrative or your story, your mythos out and not including you and doing a bad job at it, but you keep going and buying the tickets to go and see the movie of this shit. You keep buying tickets to go see the bad rendition of it. But who's crazy in the equation? The person that's cosplaying or the people that's showing up to watch them cosplay? Like, nigga, you would go and see vaudeville. You would go and see vaudeville in 2026. That would be considered entertainment for you. So, the responsibility still falls with us at some point. What are we participating in? What are we giving energy to? I could give y'all a 4-hour lecture about the conspiracies of LeBron James and why he went to Philadelphia yesterday. And it can be an elaborate lecture. You know what I'm saying? Peace, family. I can also remind you that we also prophesized that on Brother Rich's channel during the episode when we were breaking down why Jaylen Brown was being traded to the 76ers, right? So I can show you receipts from that episode when we were speaking about the JB energy. And the JB energy in all of my lectures represents Jaquin and Boaz, or the twin pillars, that will either be shown as the numbers 11, that will either be shown in the energy of 44, or it will be shown in its gematria numbers, which are 77. That's the number of the pillars, right? And we were explaining the whole JB ritual, okay, with Jaylen Brown passing over New York, where Jalen Brunson was at, to go to Philadelphia, where Jalen Hurt was at, the whole Jalen energy. But the JB now being Jaylen Brown and LeBron James, or James and Brown. So they got the James Brown thing going. They're bringing funk back to Funkadelphia, right? Because Funkadelphia is definitely in play right now because we are in Revelations. And we already explained this to you through the Super Bowl rituals. You understand? But I seen a million breakdowns yesterday. And everybody has their own interpretation. And that's cool, right? So I could spend my time giving a entertainment course on decoding what that means, and but we already did it. You know what I'm saying? We've already cast that net forward into the future. And what I would rather do is give you some backdrop, right, about the reclamation, that there is a spiritual import when you see a king being installed on the throne in the east during the day out of time, which is 725. In the Mayan calendar, that's a 0 day. It's the day when the most unexpected things could happen will happen. And those things represent diametric shifts, but they're very much rooted in symbolism. So what does it mean when a king comes to the east, right? We always know that kings are synonymous with the west, but now all of this energy is dealing with kings in the east, right? This whole aspect of reclamation, the king of New York throne being reclaimed in the east by Hova, Jalen Brunson becoming a new king of New York in his respects, right? this heavy king energy. You know what I'm saying? Now you got King James coming on, King James birthday, right? Reclaiming a throne in the east of now, which he's going to have to be battling with this other JB energy, which is Jalen Brunson. But y'all seen Jay-Z bring out Beyonce as the first artist reclaiming his throne as the king of New York, putting the pillars back on the portico or the porch or the stage. The first person he brought was Beyonce, right? And they reclaimed the pillars of JB, Jay-Z, Beyonce, JB, Jaqueen and Boaz, twin pillars, right? Setting the stage for the blueprint, reclamating or building back the temple, right? This is high level masonry, or should we just say cosmic symbology that we're seeing, the mythos that we participate in, that we are either creating consciously or unconsciously. It's a beautiful theater, if you ask me. I don't want to get caught up in the controversy of the quote unquote conspiracy. I would rather what? Reclaim the narrative and be the orator. I'm the bard, I'm the poet, I'm Minister Moreland, and these are the mineral ministries. And we use the Gregorian calendar date as our backdrop to tell our prophetic narratives dealing with the Bible, Old and New Testament. We're weaving a narrative in real time. So I know that we're going to speak about the king. I know that we're going to speak about the East. I know that we're going to speak about all of these themes are going to come up when we break this Bible down. And because today is 726, if we cannot extract the 26 energy, we'll break the 2 and 6 down to 8. So we'll start here with Genesis 7, 8. Or we'll flip it and do 26, 7. Okay. Let's start here with Genesis 7, 8, entering the ark. Right. Let's get in the ark. Noah and his wife with his sons and their wives into the ark to escape the waters of the flood. The clean and unclean animals, the birds, and everything that crawls along the ground came to Noah to enter the ark 2 by 2, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. Let me mention, because I didn't get a chance to say it. We are non-denominational, mostly conversational, sometimes confrontational mineral ministries. We take the Gregorian calendar date and we flip the narrative by going chapter and verse and breaking it down and turning the dead letter religion into a living testament and owning the narrative. Okay. Dog walking the word of God. No disrespect. Disrespect, y'all. Let's do the 26-8. We're going to flip it. Isaac deceives Abimelech. But when the man of that place asked about his wife, he said, "She is my sister." For he was afraid to say, "She is my wife," since he thought to himself, "The men of this place will kill and alive me on account of Rebekah, because she is so beautiful. When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked down from the window and was surprised to see Isaac caressing his wife, Rebekah. Abimelech sent for Isaac and said, "So she is really your wife? How could you say she is my sister?" Isaac replied, "Because I thought I might die on account of her." I don't sound very affirmative in the narrative, right? Someone's playing with loaded dice. And then those people had to pay the price for you playing games with your wife. Now, that's kind of like when we seen the movie The Odyssey, you know, it's a very stale narrative that tells of some things that they're looked at as noble and upstanding and manly, but to me, some of the things they was doing was goofy, and they paid the price for it. And they prolonged it and dragged it out into a long ass story when it just should have been like, yo, these dudes was mad goofy. Don't do this goofy shit. Exodus 7:25. The first plague, blood. So all of the Egyptians dug around the Nile for water to drink because they cannot drink the water from the river. All 7 full days passed after the Lord had struck the Nile. And the best part of that movie to me was Travis's role, because he played the bard and he seemed to me to be the most authentic character in it all. And his narrations, to me, it was the most interesting thing through the movie. I felt very bored. I just felt like Troy was better. 300 was better, right? The story was very stale. I feel like Clash of the Titans was way better, right? Because the crux of the narrative was really them not adhering to the fortune of fortune tellers. The crux of the narrative was them going against readings, or what they call odus. You can't get read and then go against the reading. You can't defy the reading like that. You're gonna pay the consequence, and it's gonna be immediate. And they showed that's what happened in the narrative with them. They showed that it was spirituality over belief. You know what I'm saying? They didn't heed the message. They did not adhere to the rules, and they thought that they were so lawless because of their victory. They were pompous and arrogant in their victory to think that they can overcome the elements or the things that were principle were overseeing their victory. So they went against the principles, and the principle is going to spank you. You know what I'm saying? And it was a cute story, but it was inaccurate as well, because they did their best that they could to depict the true and living for who and what they were and what they meant to that narrative. You know what I'm saying? But I still think they fell short. Anyway, fat and blood forbidden, Leviticus 7:26. If anyone eats the fat of an animal from which an offering made by fire may be presented to the Lord, the one who eats it must be cut off from his people. You must not eat the blood of any bird or animal in any of your dwellings. If anyone eats blood, that person must be cut off from his people. Right? So you can't eat as your God eats, because according to them, God eats the blood. He transmutes the blood as a medium that holds a particular life force to transmute and conduct with God transactionally. That's why God wants a particular blood when he was being transacted with, right, by the Israelites. According to this narrative, this is how they transacted with God. He needed tribute. You know what I'm saying? He needed an offering. And I guess the the controversy or the question that interestingly can be raised between, even amongst, I ain't even gonna go there. Let's just leave it alone. Keep moving. I just didn't feel the need to. Leviticus 17:13. And if any Israelite or foreigner living amongst them hunts down a wild animal or bird that may be eaten, he must drain its blood and cover it with dirt. For the life of all flesh is its blood. Therefore, I have told the Israelites, you must not eat the blood of any living thing, because the life of all flesh is its blood. Whoever eats it must be cut off. But you would eat death then, right? You don't want the human eating the blood, but that's where the life force is at. That's where the elixir is. But then they would eat the flesh that is devoid of life. You know, not gonna go there. Um, Interesting though. Number 726, offerings of dedication. His offering was one silver platter. His offer was one silver platter weighing 130 shekels, and 1 silver bowl weighing 17 shekels, both according to the sanctuary shekel, and filled with fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering, 1 gold dish weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 1 male lamb a year old for a burnt offerings. And what they also say ceremonial wise is that if you do ceremony and you use a animal to remove negative mitigating forces off of an individual in ceremony, if you're utilizing the animal as a medium to remove energy, right? So let's think about the energy as a magnetic field. Okay. Magic is the manipulation of magnetic fields. That's all magic is, the manipulation of magnetic fields, right? So there are certain animals that have certain aspects that connect them to magnetic fields, and they're utilized in ceremony, which the people might look like a random ceremony without them understanding the exact science to it. Okay. Um, and you know, the magnetic field aspect of blood is what makes it a perfect medium for transaction with ethereal beings, of which God would have to be an ethereal being, a being that transacts and feasts on plasma as a transaction, that feasts on plasma more so as the form that is seen and acknowledged in those different wave variants of what they call dimensions or dimensionality. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get into a plasmic form. And that is what the quote unquote entities are feasting on when they get into this whole aspect of bloodletting and blood feasting. So yeah, when an animal is used to remove negativity, you're not supposed to consume that animal, let alone go anywhere or deal with the blood of it. Deuteronomy 7:26 at its critical degree. This is the last verse of that chapter. The promises of God. You must burn up the images of their gods. Do not covet the silver and gold that is on them, or take it for yourselves, or you will be ensnared by it, for it is detestable to the Lord your God. And you must not bring any detestable thing into your house, or you, like it, will be set apart for destruction. You are to utterly detest and abhor it, because it is set apart for destruction. So let's use this as a history lesson according to the mythological narrative that is ensnaring the public right now in the form of the movie called The Odyssey, right? The Odyssey shows you perfectly the reverse of this particular scripture or this commandment. This says that if someone is your enemy and you abhor your enemy, then you abhor the things that your enemy has faith in. Their belief system also becomes abhorrent to you, and you're unable to see beauty in it. So you would not covet the things that an enemy of yours has fastened with their heroes or their gods, right? Case in point, that they would not have brought in the Trojan horse as a gift to Athena if they were abhorring the fact that their enemies were utilizing this edifice as something that they designed as art, right? They would not subvert something that their enemy coveted and take that thing and now make it a value that they were making an offering to their God with, if they were following the same principle, right? If you hate a people, you abhor everything about them. If you'd allow yourself to get to this concept of what's called hate, which is the bottom, right? And I don't know if our people, it might be a foreign concept to us, because I don't know if there's anything that we've ever technically hated. The only thing that we've been able to see ourselves through the lens of that shows what hate looks like is how we treat ourselves, right? Ourselves individually, specifically, because we do things knowingly to ourselves that harm and hurt ourselves, and we still do them. We compound that activity by doing it repetitively, and then programming our subconscious. So we create a conversation in our body that sounds like an argument, and then our body starts eating itself, and they call that autoimmune disease, when the body attacks itself because the communication is off. Because that's the body like, nigga, what are you doing? How you still doing this shit that you're knowing is causing us damage, but you're doing it to look trendy in front of people who really hate you? Because your enemy has shown you they have hate in their heart for you. They have the cruelty to you is satisfaction to them. You don't have that yet. Not as a majority. It has not captured you like a storm. You are not at the bottom of the bucket when it comes to, man, I can't stand this shit. You're not there yet. Peace, Lordy. So if again, if you could actually get to a place, and I'm not recommending that you get there unless there is something that you hate, that you feel that that's the energy that you need to refract or what have you. I'm saying reclamation, that you need to lead with love. And love is a devouring energy that consumes all, like fire, right? But water has no enemy. So think about love as water as well. It consumes all things, you know. Let that other shit sink, just sink to the bottom. 2 Kings 23:4. Then the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, the priest second in rank, and the doorkeepers to remove from the temple of the Lord all the articles made for Baal, Asherah, and all of the hosts of heaven. And he burnt them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron and carried their ashes to Bethel. Right? So this is, yes, hate energy is the weakest of all energies, right? So it is not recommended that you fall into hate. Again, I think that our people are incapable of, actually accessing the energy of hate. We don't come from hate, you know, and I think that you have to actually come from hate in order to access it. But then our adversaries definitely can access hate. They loathe your existence, right? They have a burning contempt for you. They're capable of cruelty when it comes to how they may feel or see about you. But again, your biggest defense, which is your offense, is your love. And I'm not saying to go outside and kumbaya or turn a cheek. I'm just saying that your commitment and your love to yourself, the reclamation that you have to love yourself, would never put you in proximity to that amount of that challenge of your humanity. It's just you're not gonna magnetize it. You're not gonna resonate with it. It belongs to a totally different energy field, and that energy field is more so connected to people who may be confused about themselves or hate themselves, right? Or hate the concept of themselves. And unfortunately, people have been fed that unhealthy diet in our society about people that look like me and you. Some people are very much confused about being born into the most dynamic of circumstances, being that you are in this spacesuit, you have this technology, you know what I'm saying? You have this heart of gold. You come to this rich history and you're born into this body, and then you're born into circumstances that seem to hate on the things that you see are magnificent about yourself, that you things that are worthwhile about yourself. You see the value in yourself, but then it's cut down like a weed, and and then the village never forms to replant it. The village never forms to repot it. The village never forms to build a fence around it. The village never forms to the village never forms, right? To properly tend the garden that's needed. So, sometimes the most beautiful plants wither. You know what I'm saying? some from a lack of light, some from a lack of water, some from a lack of love. So you got to lead with love. You know, that's the superpower at the end of the day. Can't fight hate with hate. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight it with water. Water has no enemies. Water has no enemies. You know what I'm saying? The sin of Achan. This is Joshua 7:26. Why have you brought this trouble upon us, said Joshua. Today the Lord will bring trouble upon you. And all Israel stoned him to death. Then they stoned the others and burnt their bodies. And they heaped over Achan a large pile of rocks to remain to this day. So the Lord turned from his burning anger. Therefore that place is called the Valley of Achor to this day. Joshua 8:29. He hung the king of Ai on a tree until evening, and at sunset Joshua commanded that they take down the body from the tree and throw it down at the entrance of the city gate, and over it they raised a large pile of rocks which remains to this day. That's crazy. That's crazy. They be doing bodies, desecrating bodies, doing them horrible. You know what I'm saying? You gotta really hate a person to step on the dignity of their death. And fortunately, you know, that you guys don't have to get pushed into a space and a place in your life where you got to go to war and tap into that energy and that frequency, right? Because sometimes these are the mentalities that are needed and necessary for you to survive environments like that. So let's pray come January that they're not sending our children to the Middle East, our nieces and nephews, our loved ones, our babies, our future. This is real shit. Judges 7:25. Gideon defeats Midian. Gideon sent messengers throughout the hill country of Ephraim to say, come down against the Midianites and seize the waters of the Jordan ahead of them as far as Beth Barah. So all of the men of Ephraim were called out, and they captured the waters of the Jordan as far as Beth Barah. They also captured Oreb and Zeeb, the two princes of Midian, and they killed Oreb at the rock of Oreb and Zeeb at the winepress of Zeeb. So they pursued the Midianites and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeeb to Gideon on the other side of the Jordan. You know, they was drilling. They was running down on shit. You feel me? They established a lot of this in blood, cold blood. You know, the land of milk and honey is seeped in blood. Look, 2 Samuel 4:12. So David commanded his young men, and they unalived Rechab and Baanah. They cut off their hands and feet and hung their bodies by the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in Abner's tomb in Hebron, right? They was doing shit like the Mexican mafia, right? They was getting busy like the cartels. I mean, let's just call it for what it is, my nigga, right? Or the medieval times when they was putting heads on pikes and giving you fair warning when you came into their province that this is how they get it in. They was doing the Moors like that too when they did their reclamation or their reconquista. This is how they was dealing with the Moors. Who are these people that we're speaking of? 26:7. David again spares Saul. And David asks Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai, son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, who will go down with me to Saul in the camp? I will go with you, answered Abishai. That night, David and Abishai came to the troops, and Saul was lying there asleep in the inner city circle of the camp, with his spear stuck in the ground by his head. And Abner and the troops were lying around him. Abishai said to David, today God has delivered your enemy into your hand. Now, therefore, please let me thrust a spear through him into the ground with one stroke. I will not need to strike him twice. Right? They was getting it in, my niggas. Like, they was getting to it. Feel me? All of this is co-signed by Yahweh. 1 Samuel 7:26, David's prayer of thanksgiving. O now, O Lord God, confirm forever the word you have spoken concerning your servant and his house. Do as you have promised, so that your name will be magnified forever when it is said, the Lord of hosts is God over Israel, and the house of your servant David will be established before you. For you, O Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, have revealed this to your servant when you said, I will build a house for you. Therefore, your servant has found the courage to offer this prayer to you. Right? A house built in blood. It didn't stand long. No disrespect, right? But you guys know the story. A house built in blood that was buried in blood, right? And then built out of the rubble of blood and then demolished again. And now the bloodletting is taking place at an unprecedented level to build a third one, right? All in the name of blood. What up, blood? One Kings. Let's see what they got. $7.26. The molten sea. The sea stood on 12 oxen, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. The sea rests on them, with all of their hindquarters towards the center. It was a handbreadth thick, and its rims was fashioned like the brim of a cup, like a lily blossom. It can hold 2,000 baths. Right? Somebody's telling one hell of a story. You know what I'm saying? And they had some. They must have had some good hashish back then, because the poetry that they come up with. Yeah, they sound like they was semi-fried. Peace, God. Um, 2 Chronicles 4:2. Then we're gonna keep it moving. He also made the sea of cast metal. It was circular in shape, measuring 10 cubits from rim to rim, 5 cubits in height, and 30 cubits in circumference. Make of it what you will, my niggas. Make of it what you will. 2 Kings. Let's see. Do they got a 7:11? Nope. Do they got a 26:7? Nope. 1 Chronicles. Y'all all right? Hopefully so. Wow, I didn't even get a sip yet. Get some of this agua. Uh, uh. All right. This is this genealogy. I'm gonna skip this in Chronicles. Let's go to 2 Chronicles. See what they got in 2 Chronicles. We're looking for narrative. I ain't going through genealogy right now. Let's go to 26:7. No, 7:26. We'll go to 26:7. She was slapping. Uzziah reigns in Judah. Uzziah went out to wage war against the Philistines, and he tore down the walls of Gath, Jabneh, and Ashdod. Then he built cities near Ashdod, and amongst the Philistines. God helped him against the Philistines, against the Arabs living in Gerbal, and against the Meunites. The Ammonites brought tribute to Uzziah, and his fame spread as far as the borders of Egypt, for he had become exceedingly powerful. Right? He was lit. His name was ringing bells in them streets. 1 Chronicles 5:20. And because they cried out to God in battle, they were helped against their enemies, and the Hagrites and all of their allies were delivered into their hands because they put their trust in God. He answered their prayers. So why for them is just trust, but then he got to answer prayers with everybody else with tribute. Why is it trust versus tribute? That's an interesting one. Why is it trust versus tribute? Artaxerxes' letter to Ezra 7:26. And you, Ezra, according to the wisdom of your God, which you possess, are to appoint magistrates and judges to judge all the people west of Euphrates, all who know the laws of your God. And you are to teach these laws to anyone who does not know them. If anyone does not keep the law of your God and the law of the king, let a strict judgment be executed against him, whether death, banishment, confiscation of property, or imprisonment. Right? So they was giving him the edict that he could stand on business. So the Romans would do that. They would have particular provinces, and they would give, the Jews control, and they would be like, yo, as long as they pay tribute, you know what I'm saying? They don't gotta worship Caesar, but they paying tribute. You feel me? They gotta follow this particular law slash code slash ordinance, and then they gotta, adhere to what your stuff is, and what you're saying comes under the confines of your commandments or your covenants, and will carry out justice for you. That's how they saying that they got Jesus in the bind. Um Deuteronomy 17:12. But the man who acts presumptuously, refusing to listen either to the priest who stands there to serve the Lord your God or to the judge, must be put to death. You must purge the evil from Israel. Then all of the people will hear and be afraid and will no longer behave arrogantly. Nehemiah. Nehemiah 17:26. More genealogy. We ain't doing the genealogy. Not today. Esther. Uh, Job. Come on. Let's get these 726 popping. No. Psalms. Let's see what Psalms got for us. Psalm 726. Nope. Let's go to 26:7. Let's flip it inverse. Psalms 26:7. Vindicate me, O Lord. I wash my hands in innocence, that I may go about your altar, O Lord, to raise my voice in thanksgiving and declare all of your wonderful works, O Lord. I love the house where you dwell, the place where your glory resides. Psalms 49. I proclaim righteousness in the great assembly. Behold, I do not seal my lips, as you, O Lord, do know. I have not covered up your righteousness in my heart. I have declared your faithfulness and salvation. I have not concealed your loving devotion and faithfulness from the great assembly. Proverbs. (7:26). Warnings about the adulteress. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths, for she has brought many down to death. Her slain are many in number. Her house is the road to Sheol, descending to the chambers of death. God damn, I need to read that again. Whew, my niggas. Screen record this. Y'all need to listen to this. Keep this on play every day. All right. And think about it. Like if if adultery sends you to hell, if that was the heavyweight sin in the book of them all, right? And that led to Sheol, which is the Jews' version of hell, right? How many niggas got a first round ticket, a first class ticket in their back pocket and don't even know it, right? Think about the mortality rate in the hood and how it upticked. Was it because niggas was selling crack or because they was creeping? Which one was it? Let's read this. Warnings about the adulteress. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths, for she has brought many down to death. Her slain are many in numbers. Her house is the road to Sheol, descending to the chambers of death. Ugh. Numbers 25:1 is a cross reference. When Israel was staying in Shittim, the men began to indulge in sexual immorality with the daughters of Moab, the Moabites, who also invited them to the sacrifices of their gods. And the people ate and bowed down to these gods. So Israel joined in worshiping Baal and Peor, and the anger of the Lord burnt against them, right? It burnt against them. Ecclesiastes 7:26. Let's see what they got. They got a 7:26. The limits on human wisdom. I directed my mind to understand, to explore, to search out wisdom and explanations, and to understand the stupidity of wickedness and the folly of madness. And I find more bitter than death the woman who is a snare, whose heart is a net, and whose hands are chains. The man who pleases God escapes her, but the sinner is ensnared. Behold, says the teacher, I have discovered this by adding one thing to another to find an explanation. They going in. They going in. So brothers, like, think about it. How many times have you been snared? And I'm not getting into blaming women, right? But if we're looking at what personifies temptations in this day and age, right? If the tempting is of the perceiving of power, we're in the season of Leo. I'm allowed to say this shit. We often look at it as somebody personified as the king or the man, right? Even a woman will, acquiesce that aspect of power to allow him to demonstrate, even if she's in control to a degree. So we're speaking about the masculine principle and demonstrating of power and the snares that come when that power is being demonstrated. Now, many of the examples that we have in our living timeline, we can point to them and say, yeah, the scandals that they've got into, the snares that they've been involved in, have all dealt with women. Is it the woman's fault? Not necessarily. The temptation is always present. It's just personified in the form of a woman because they say that power corrupts absolutely, or absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, it's a social dynamic that plays out the way that it plays out, and it falls more so on the shoulder of men for us to make these observations. Right. So, but it's a heavyweight observation that, since this book claims to be, garnering a chronological history since the beginning of time, then this is something that men have had to been aware of since the beginning of time, and they repeat it through times, through all time cycles, and through all timelines. Nigga, CERN can't fix that. CERN can't fix that. That won't change in the CERN altered timeline. You know it also don't change no matter what the fuck CERN do. Bangers, nigga. The emotional impact of music, right? No matter how many timelines and goddamn cereal boxes motherfucking CERN shifts, they don't be shifting no music. They don't be shifting your favorite music. The emotional impact that shit has registered on you can't be altered in no timeline. How about that? That's how powerful music is, that it imprints on you and it will fucking travel with you through every timeline. That's how powerful music is. You ain't hear no goddamn song coming back disputed. You ain't hear no motherfucking lyrics being changed. You ain't see them niggas altering no album covers. You don't know where your power is. Music transcends timelines because it defies physics. It's two things that occupy one space simultaneously, and you can't show me where music exists in no physical form. You can't point to it. You can't geolocate it. You can't identify it in space, nigga. But we all move by it. But it's the highest form of fucking on the Masonic chart of liberal arts. Music is at the top, above astronomy. Isaiah 7:25, judgment to come. Men will go there with bow and arrow, for the land will be covered with briars and thorns. For fear of the briars and thorns, you will no longer traverse the hills once tilted by the hoe. They will become places for oxen to graze and sheep to trample. You know, they talking about hoes a lot in today's sermon. Heaven on earth. Reclamation. Now I see it, right? We are reclaiming heaven on earth in God's holiest of gardens, and you need a hoe to tend the garden. Heaven on earth. Heaven on earth. That's the acronyms for hoe, just in case I'm going over your afro, your lion's manes out there. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. No, let's not. Ezekiel 34:18. Is it not enough for you to feed on the good pasture? Must you also trample the rest of the pasture with your feet? Is it not enough for you to drink the clear waters? Must you also muddy the rest with your feet? Why must my flock feed on what your feet have trampled or drink what your feet have muddied? That's a deep parable, right? How much is too much? Like, if a nigga got $1 billion, like, you can't trickle a few thousand back to the people in the hood. Like, you can't figure a way to funnel a million, an M back. There's nothing that you can do. We managed to do so much in the underworld with a little bit, my nigga, and then you stretch it, and then you do all kind of shit, and you buying shit, and you supposed to know how to buy shit without it being tracked and traced, because all the money that you use can't be accounted for. See, these niggas know how to launder. You can't throw none of that back in the hood. Yeah, shout out to the hoes. You know, we not over here hoe shaming. Jeremiah 17:26. Judah's idolatry persists. From the day your fathers came out of the land of Egypt until this day, I have sent you all my servants, the prophets, again and again. Yet they would not listen to me or incline their ear, but they stiffened their necks and did more evil than their fathers. When you tell them all these things, they will not listen to you. When you call to them, they will not answer, my nigga. You feel me? They will not answer. There's a few of y'all in here, and you showed up, and we getting this message out and clear. Isaiah 55:3, incline your ear and come to me, listen so that your soul may live. I will make you an everlasting covenant, my loving devotion promised to David, right? I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell it like it is, not like how it should be. I want you to know the truth and do with it so as you please. But this is to remove the shackles so you could see things for what they are, not necessarily, what you believe in them to be. But you have all of the power to actually make it be that. You're just going to have to put in some work. Ezekiel 7:26. The dissolution of Israel, anguish is coming. They will seek peace but find none. Disaster upon disaster will come. And rumor after rumor of war. Then they will seek a vision from a prophet, but instruction from the priest will perish, as will counsel from the elders. This is the Odyssey breakdown. Listen to this. Let's take this back into Ezekiel 7:26. Now, Ezekiel is known for being a seer, right? Ezekiel had dreams. Think about Ezekiel like the lady with the pigs, who is the seer. She was the oracle and also the bearer of bad news, but also the medium, which is to convey to the seeker the secrets of the sacred. So if the creator told her, nigga, you the only one that's gonna make it home. And if your people do this shit over here, right, they're gonna cause calamity and catastrophe. And then if they go and do that shit, who's to blame? Our people don't heed the messages that the prophets are bringing them these days. And then they're suffering in the result of them going against the prophecy and looking for us to cry them Argentina. And we just sitting there looking at you like you're more stupid than your father, stiff-necked nigga. At least your daddy was up at the church chasing a semblance of prophecy, even if it was stale, because it was an old prophecy. But you got modern day prophets amongst you. You got modern day prophecies, and you choose to what? Be stiff-necked towards them. Anguish is coming. They will seek peace but find none. Disaster upon disaster will come, and rumor after rumor. Then they will seek a vision from a prophet. Instruction from the priest will perish, as will counsel from the elders. The king will mourn. The prince will be clothed with despair, and the hands of the people of the land will tremble. I will deal with them according to their conduct, and I will judge them by their own standards. Then they will know that I am the Lord. So somebody got an ass whooping coming. Somebody got an ass whooping coming. I've said this on multiple occasions, right? Because people can't seem to put themselves in the seat or in the feet of a people that are looked at upon like, damn, they're going through something that looks like damnation. They're going through something that looks like prophetic retribution or ass whooping. You wouldn't want to be a Palestinian today. And please pray for the Palestinians, right? I am not necessarily sitting here and pointing a finger, but I'm saying that Scripture has positioned this concept of what's called the curse of Canaan. And then when I look at Canaan land, or the land of the Canaanites, and I look at the word Palestine, and I know that it means or I look at the word Ham, and Ham is a place in Palestine, then I'm just like, damn, whoever wears that identity, who's ever comes under that label, who's ever playing or cosplaying who those people are, they are also wearing the brunt of the curse. Now, you can volunteer for the curse and say that, nah, nigga, that's us. That's who we are. All right, then you got to wear that jacket too. What does it look like on you? Oh, it looks crazy. And it lines up with prophecy, but it might be telling your future as well. It might be telling your future as well. So, you got to be careful what you identify with out here, because you got to take everything that goes along with that, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as the alchemist, you got to figure out a way to synthesize that shit and make it work for you as the alchemist. Your job is to stay alive and to leave a legacy. I would think, some people just feel like they skipping through here, and maybe you are. I can't speak for everyone. Daniel's visions interpreted. Now we find ourselves in Daniel 7:26, right? So if you saw the Odyssey, again, to me, the two most important people in the movie was the bard or the poet, right? So that's Travis Scott, and the oracle, who gave the prophetic word, message, right? Deliver what you need to know to make your best move, your next move, nigga. And he didn't do that shit, and he lost time as a result. And as a result, the ending of his story ended up totally diametrically different than how it may have potentially ended. But will we ever know? No, we'll never know. We just know that he followed the wrong direction and ended up shipwrecked. And a lot of people's lives are identical to that. They get a prophetic muse, they get a message, they get a warning, they're pointing in a particular direction, and they do the opposite, and they end up shipwrecked. And they lose time on their lives. And their lives don't end the way that they intended it to. And it fucks the whole story up in the end. Just because they didn't listen. And the signs were clear, nigga. And then the storm comes. Daniel's visions interpreted, right? So fuck that shit. So that's like us telling niggas about Trump. God damn it. And niggas ignoring that shit. And them people systemically removing all of the barriers that will protect people who look like me and you. With them people removing all of the oversight. With them people rolling back all of the quote unquote things that have been allocated in your favors. And then creating a protracted reason, unifying with the state of Zion, right? To make sure that if this prophecy is about to hit the heels of those people, they want to do something about it in their defense, fighting against God, right? And his message, or his prophetic message, and ultimately wanting to what? Prosecute the messengers for just bringing the message. So, and then if it falls on the shoulders of the people, right, and they have already been warned, you need to prepare for it. Like it's already on your doorstep, my nigga. Don't motherfucking wait. And if people fail to heed the warning, who is it on, them or us? It ain't on me, my nigga. I have totally dust my shoulders and absolve myself of responsibility to say, you've been told, you've been warned, my nigga, right? You should be moving as if you already in the thick of it. Do for self, grow your food, get your security apparatuses together. You know what I'm saying? Tighten up your network. Learn how to communicate on channels that are not necessarily broadcast. You feel me? Tell the truth to your children. Make sure that they know how to scrap and defend themselves. Daniel's visions interpreted. He will speak out against the Most High and oppress the saints of the Most High, intending to change the appointed times and laws. And the saints will be given into his hand for a time, and times, and half a time, right? But the court will convene, and his dominion will be taken away and completely destroyed forever. Then the sovereignty, dominion, and greatness of the kingdoms under all of heaven will be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all rulers will serve and obey him. Now, this is a beautiful vision and a scary one at the same time, right? And this is speaking directly to a cosmological transit that just took place. And that is the north node and the south node transmuting themselves with Leo and Aquarius, right? And what is going from is like a singular ruler, right? Or individual control of power and sovereignty. Think about, like, let's say a rapper who is a personification of a lot of power. No one man should have all that power, right? Energy. If no one man should have all that power was a person, is the old energy, right? Now Aquarius, it being distributed amongst the people, and the people having the ability to vote with keyboards and saying, yeah, we ain't fucking with him. Cancel culture, or them just taking back the ability to say, I'm not waiting for Jay-Z to be my spokesman for social responsibility or social justice in Black America. We're no longer giving him that power, that authority, or that audacity, my nigga. We're taking that power in our own hands, and if we say something, then that's what, we standing on that. And can't no rapper undo what the people say. That's the energy that we moving into. That's the energy that we're actually in right now. That transit just happened the other day. Right? Let me see. Is it no transit Aquarius? All right, let's move on. I don't think Hosea has nothing for us. Prove me wrong, Hosea. Okay. Hosea was like, hold on, nigga. Hold on, nigga. We'll reduce it and go to 7-8 for Hosea, just because. Ephraim's iniquity. All of them are not as hot as an oven, and they devour the rulers. All their kings fall. Not one of them calls upon me. Ephraim mixes with the nations. Ephraim is an unturned cake. Oh, foreigners consume his strength, but he does not notice. Even his hair is streaked with gray, but he does not know. They ain't talking crazy about Ephraim, nigga. Shit. Joel, crazy about Ephraim. Like, yeah, nigga, Ephraim. Let's see what Amos has for us. Let's go to Amos 7-8. The locust fire and the plumb line. All right. This is what he showed me. Behold, the Lord was standing by a wall true to plumb, with a plumb line in his hand. Amos, what do you see? Asked the Lord. A plumb line, I replied. Behold, said the Lord, I am setting a plumb line amongst my people Israel. I will no longer spare them. The high places of Isaac will be deserted, and the sanctuaries of Israel will be laid waste. And I will rise up against the house of Jeroboam with my sword. So, again, very interesting that all of these conversations that we have been having about is it real, and the third temple and what they have been concocting in terms of merging with the Zionist state. Very interesting to see that they actually merged their militaries with them the other day, right? These are unprecedented times that we're living in, right? But there's also, they're attempting to thwart the symbolic cosmic nature of the rising of a new sun. Yeah, man, it's just deep. It's a lot going on. Symbolically, it's super active in these symbol streets. Super active, because they initiated so many pillar rituals. In the raising of a pillar, you raise the pillars on the porch or the portico of the temple, where you inaugurate or initiate, you bring the king in, sitting in the east. So this is, yeah, the temple work that's being done right now on metaphysical symbolic levels to reinstitute or re-inaugurate a temple first before they bring it to the physical earth, and they're using these chess pieces of athletes and actors and shit like that to do it. Unbelievable. And we got unprecedented evidence because it's all just laid out in front of us. And the beauty of decoding is that you just got to go back and decode it. It's not going to shift. It's not going to go nowhere. It's etched in time and space, nigga. It's hanging like on a cosmic clothesline. You just got to pick the clothes off, fold them shits, or put an ensemble together that looks like a beautiful outfit. But the receipts is on the clothesline. Cosmic clothesline. A call to justice and mercy. Zechariah 7:8. Are these not the words that the Lord proclaimed through their earlier prophets when Jerusalem and its surrounding towns were populous and prosperous, and the Negev and the foothills were inhabited? Then the word of the Lord came to Zechariah, saying, this is what the Lord of hosts says: administer true justice, show loving devotion and compassion to one another. You know, I've seen our people do that. I know they were capable of it. I know that we house the flame, we house the light, we house the ark of the covenant in our hearts, in our chests, in our bosom. Yeah, the shit, we become dark as of lately. You know, the light has gotten dim as fuck, but a simmer, a flicker of it still exists. And I remember the fact that our chest cavities were the cabinets that housed that lamp. I know that we are people that are capable of love, compassion, and devotion. I've seen it. You know, I'm a product of being raised in proximity to it. You know what I'm saying? And we just got to get back to it. We got to value it while we are in this Chiron and Taurus transit. Chiron and Taurus is the wounds to our values. What are the things that we value? The motherfuckers that's in front of us pointing fingers at us are reflective of where our values have dipped to. You know, we're led by drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? We're listening to people who already crossed the community line talk about community. And the community is looking to these niggas for leadership because somebody convinced you that cash rules. Somebody convinced you that money's a metric of good fortune. You know what I'm saying? And it qualifies somebody for leadership. We're looking to be led by people who are blind to the causes of other people because they embrace rugged individualism and it made them $1 billion, my nigga. Yeah, the money's there, but the trick was always to do it for the people with the people. That's not what these niggas signed up for. So we're just confusing ourselves, looking for love in all of the wrong places. Yeah, you got to know thyself. Now we're in Matthew, right? The energy is going to shift. It's going to change. The narrative is going to get a lot lighter. The house on the rock. Matthew 7:26. Hallelujah. The rain fell, the torrents raged, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall because its foundation was on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell, the torrents raged, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell. And great was its collapse, right? So it was often told to me that you cannot build an empire on ill-gotten gains, that you can't build an empire on blood money, right? That anything that you build with crack money, anything that you build with money that comes out of the street that's soaked in blood, there's different. There's money in the street that you can get out of the street that's not tethered or tied to blood libels or blood ties. I was a booster, nigga. That wasn't blood money. You feel me? And I didn't abuse my position because you got a lot of control over people in that position. You could have workers and you can, you know, I've seen people become very abusive towards people that were under them and were dependent on them in any power dynamic where a person looked up to another person. When anybody that you put in position to look down and have mercy on you, nigga, they can also take that opportunity, right, to take advantage. Or again, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So they only know how to act like a white man. That's the only people they've seen in power. They only know how to abuse that position. That's the only thing that they've seen in their environments. You feel me? James 1:22, be doers of the word and not hearers only. Otherwise, you are deceiving yourselves. For anyone who hears the word but does not carry it out is like a man who looks at his face in the mirror and after observing himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. Right? Don't just create the spark. You got to hold the charge. Don't just create the spark. Hold the charge, my nigga. Don't just look at yourself and adore yourself for a fleeting moment and then go outside and forget that you got love for yourself and do things that are unbecoming of who the fuck you are. Look yourself in the mirror, but take that reflection with you everywhere that you go. You know why? Because we don't see ourselves. There's nobody on this planet that has literally saw themselves. The only way that you've seen yourself is in the mirror or through the eyes of somebody else, but you've never seen you. You've never seen you. You're looking through a mirror and you will always be the other way around. You will always be an upside down version or a flip version of yourself. You've never seen yourself, my nigga. Think about it. So it's important that you find somebody that really loves you. I saw myself through the eyes of somebody who loves me. I gotta take a sip. And you get a chance to see yourselves. Like I would imagine that's what it's like looking into the eyes of your child, right? And your child can look at you with that amount of love that you see yourself. You see yourself. You know what I'm saying? Some amazing shit. Some amazing shit. Um, the faith of a Gentile woman. This is Mark 7:26. Instead, a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit soon heard about Jesus, and she came and fell at his feet. Now she was a Greek woman of Syrophoenician origin, and she kept asking Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. First, let the children have their fill, he said, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. Right? And when you live in a military occupation, when you live in a police state, right, they allocate resources to military, to police, to security, to the help, right? The overseer needs help or what have you. His centurions, his legions, right? These are the people who receive tribute before the babies get fed, before the poor get housed and home, and things of that nature, That's the world we live in. You know what I'm saying? At least the outside world a bit. You want to change it, take matters into your own hand and do something different. Choice is yours. It's gonna take some work, but it's not impossible. It's not. Matthew 15:22. And a Canaanite woman from that region came to him crying out, Lord, Son of God, have mercy on me. My daughter is miserably possessed by a demon. Right? So CM 26. He was out here casting out demons. He had a parasite cleanse, right? Because the demons exist in the form of parasite infestation. So he had a parasite cleanse. He was a healer. He had elixirs, right? He was running around sharing shit that he learned from India and Egypt. He was an effective healer. And they have glamorized and glorified this person to make it seem like he was the second coming of the second coming when he was just a very vainglorious healer. Jesus testifies about John. Otherwise, What did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? Look, those who wear elegant clothing and live in luxury are found in palaces. What then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, behold, I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you. So this is the Neo and Morpheus story, right? Jesus and John, Neo and Morpheus. Okay. Same shit. Let's keep it moving. Now we in John. That's my birth card, by the way. 7 of clubs. No, 6 of clubs, my bad. John the Baptist card. I was thinking about 7 of clubs because I found out that Nolan Wells is a 7 of clubs. So I'm able to see that narrative for what it is, him being a 7 of clubs and the 7 of club being the truth teller for the message. The 6 of club, which is what I am, me and Red, the 6 of club card is the messenger card. We're the prophetic messenger card. Prophets. We communicate the message, and the 7 of club takes the message and amplifies it, and they tell it to the world. Case in point, I'll show you the dynamic. Brother Rich, 7 of club, red and blue, 6 of club. You know what I'm saying? We get downloads, prophetic messages or information, and we're able to share it on his platform, broadcast and magnify it to the world. He's living in his purpose as a 7 of club. Rashida, right? Blue Dream, 7 of club. Okay. I'm able to have communications with her and gain deeper insight into thoughts that I have or concepts that I have come across. You feel me? She always takes my information and takes it to another level, does something different with it. 7 of club, transmutes it in a way in which it gives me an expansive understanding of my own information. 7 of clubs. 7 of clubs dealing with, again, communication, uh, amplification. They took this young man's throat out. That's a Chiron and Taurus aspect. Wounds to the throat, Chiron and Taurus, but also him being a communicator of the 7 and club, of his 7 and club aspect. He couldn't tell what he just found out. And what he just found out on July 4th, that he was surrounded by racists in a racist nation, right? Who exposed and showed their hands to him, and then when he wanted to reveal it, they they thwarted and stopped him. So the open secret of America is that it is what? Rooted in racism. That is built and founded in racism, but it's also built on sand. It's not built on a firm foundation. The one who set the firm foundation was Benjamin Banneker Bay when he set the pillars, the foundational places in DC, so he can properly measure it and square it to align it perfectly with Sirius. Okay. But that's who, that's the benefit, the Aboriginal and indigenous people that are here that resonate as children of Sirius. So you have to reclaim your throne. You have to reclaim your powers. You have to reclaim your identity. You have to reclaim your value. You have to reclaim your permission. You know what I'm saying? You have to reclaim your moment. You got to reclaim your magic. And this is the period in time that it is indicative to do so. This is the period in time when it's conducive to do so. This is a period in time that is supportive, right, of your willingness, wantingness to do so. And if you're not willing to get with the program, nigga, you're not bigger than the program. And the program, I don't want to say the programs will replace you and sound like I'm fucking Nino Brown. Nigga, the program gonna replace you. I don't want to be the bearer of that bad news because the program might transmute you. You feel me? But you're not gonna be bigger than the program. Not even Jesus was bigger than the program. John 7:26. Is Jesus the Christ? Then some of the people of Jerusalem began to say, isn't this the man they are trying to unalive? Yet here he is speaking publicly, and they are not saying anything to him. Have the rulers truly recognized that this is the Christ? But we know where this man is from. When the Christ comes, no one will know where he is from. Good point. Good point now. That was an aha moment. Let's keep it moving. Acts. That was an eyebrow raiser. Just can't gloss that one over now. Acts 7:26. Stephen's address to the Sanhedrins. He assumed his brothers would understand that God was using him to deliver them, but they did not. The next day, he came upon two Israelites who were fighting, and he tried to reconcile them, saying, men, you are brothers. Why are you mistreating each other? But the man who was abusing his neighbor pushed Moses aside and said, who made you ruler and judge over us, nigga? And then Moses proceeded to catch a body. I think y'all know how that story ends, right? 1 Corinthians 6:1. If any of you has a grievance against one another, how dare he go to the law before the unrighteous instead of before the saints? Do you not know that the saints will judge the world? And if you are to judge the world, are you not competent to judge trivial cases? Do you not know that we will judge angels? How much more the things of this life? Some heavyweight shit to tell a nigga right there. Like, nigga, do you know that you're going to go on and judge angels, nigga? Like, there's a calling for you. You feel me? Romans 7:26. And today officially begins the entering. This is the beginning day of the Lion's Gate, my nigga, right? Reclamation. You are now marching into Lion's Gate, which the highest point and peak of it will culminate on 8/8. I think that's about 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, right? We're going to be having a block party called Welcome to Atlantis in the west end of Atlantis, Georgia on 8/8, riding the current and the wave of this energy to its epoch. Okay? Romans 7:25, struggling with sin. What a wretched man I am. Who will rescue me from this body of death? Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then with my mind I serve the law of God, but with my flesh I serve the law of sin. All right? I serve the law of sin. Let's keep it moving. 1 Corinthians 7:25, we get 7:26. The unmarried and widowed. Brothers, each one should remain in the situation he was in when God called him. Now about virgins, I have no command from the Lord, but I give a judgment as one who by the Lord's mercy is trustworthy. Because of the present crisis, I think it is good for a man to remain as he is. They spared the virgin, y'all. Revelations 14:4. These are the ones who have not been defiled with women, for they are virgins. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They have been redeemed from amongst men as first fruits to God and to the Lamb. Now, yeah, I don't know about, they're saying that God's ideal apostles will be incels, right? And the incels are the defiled ones because they're still virgins technically. Now, no disrespect to the incels. Maybe, yeah, they need an incel prophet amongst them to come and tell them the power of the incels, right? That's a powerful position to have. You guys will be the apostles of the Christ. You niggas is like eunuchs. Yeah. Stop. Paul's joy in the Corinthians. Okay. So again, the season of Leo, we are in Leo season. Leo is about joy, it's about childhood. You know what I'm saying? But it's also the sign of the king. So it's about leadership. And not only by his arrival, but also by the comfort he had received from you. He told us about your longing, your mourning, and your zeal for me, so that I rejected all the more. Even if I caused you sorrow by my letter, I do not regret it. Although I did regret it, I now see that my letter causes you sorrow, but only for a short time. And now I rejoice, not because you were made sorrowful, but because your sorrow led you to repentance. For you felt the sorrow that God had intended, and so were not harmed in any way by us. Okay. So that's Paul's letter. Let me see if we have any good cross references that we could dive into. No discipline seems enjoyable. All right. Hebrews 12:11. This is cool, right? We can definitely extract something, a gem out of this. No discipline seems enjoyable at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it yields a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who have been trained by it. So think about it. No discipline seems enjoyable at the time, but painful. Whereas people think that, you know, sacrificing and having discipline in the now moment, right? Oh man, that's gonna be painful. Like I'm gonna miss out on this, and I might not be able to pop out and have my face seen at every event here and there. And you might think that the pain that you're receiving is the momentary pain of denying yourself, right? But the pain is not necessarily from denying yourself. The pain comes later on when you are denying yourself the things that originally would have come with discipline, or sacrificing the pain of discipline in the now moment so you can enjoy the fruits of your labor in the very near future, and have the discipline to do it in ways in which you can also continue your harvest. Meaning that maybe you don't eat everything, maybe you leave some of it to regenerate. So next season, there could be something there. There are things that come with discipline, right? They remove you from overindulgence. Overindulgence is always going to put you in the throes of temptation. It's always going to put you in a place in which the lack of discipline can be, the entry point for temptation at some point, right? You can get weak in the knees at the wrong time. So it's going to be painful either way. You choose your pain when it comes to discipline, right? I want to take this moment and acknowledge, I was speaking earlier about the North Node and the South Node transit and how that applies once again to today being the Reclamation Day. Today is the first day of the Mayan calendar. You know what I'm saying? And yesterday was day zero. It's the day where things are reset. It's the day out of time, right? Today is day one of I think it's red electric moon. That's the year that we're in. So during this particular time period, right, we're also experiencing this transit where the power is now being shifted to the people, and it's leaving the concept of a Leo or a king, right? Now we saw LeBron as the king come to the East, inaugurating Leo season, right? We know that he's King James. He also did it on King James' birthday. We know that there's a whole motif once again about the king or the worshipful master taking his rightful place in the Eastern Lodge. So they said that Philadelphia was the head of the boule, but why they ain't speak about Prince Hall, right? There's a lot going on here, and there's a multiplicity of things. I choose to extract the win from it, and not the detriment, right? And that's the choice that we all have as being the observers. That's the opportunity that we have by being the watchers and the observers and collapsing these particular waves, right? You can see it as a victim. You can see it as something being done against you or conspiratorial, or you also can choose to see the symbolism in it. And the symbolism will give you access to an aspect of victory. Oh, cut me off. It's all good. North node enters Aquarius, south node enters Leo. So the power is going back to the people and not an individual. You don't gotta wait for Jay-Z to affirm your boycotts or anything. You know what I'm saying? You can stand in that power and move through it. Power is to the people, not an individual, not a king that reigns over the people. You know what I'm saying? Jaylen Brown and LeBron James being in Philadelphia, they're bringing the soul back. They're bringing the funk back. They represent JB, James Brown, Joaquin Boaz. The twin pillars have been installed in the home of Freemasonry during the 250th anniversary of said country. Now, you got to determine what role and position you play on the chessboard when it comes to this country. You know what I'm saying? My niggas, at some point, you got to dial down and figure it out because that's your center. You can only extract energy to your center, my nigga. You're giving it away if you have not figured out what role you play in this Masonic chessboard. I ain't running from it, my nigga. My name is the Blue Pillar. I'm one of the twin pillars, my nigga. I know what role that I play. You feel me? I ain't running from it. I'm running in right through the porch where the portico and the pillars are at, right into the temple. I can't turn tables over from outside of the temple. I gotta be in the temple, my nigga. Feel me? What role do you play? Because then that will determine, right, where to seat you at in the goddamn look, nigga. You watch Jay-Z do the 25th anniversary of the blueprint, and on the same day, because he is a 9/11 resonator, he is a 44 resonator. The World Trade Towers were open on April 4th, 1973. So the towers are 44 resonators. He's a 44 resonator. He brought Beyonce out as his first guest the night before. So JB forms the twin pillars on the 30th anniversary of Reasonable Doubt. On the next day, when he did the 25th anniversary for an album cover that shows you the nigga sitting in the Blue Lodge, shows you the Masonic layout. If you niggas still don't know Masonry and it's 2026, then what the fuck am I talking about? In terms of like talking to you about it, like it's been a long time since we've been giving you this information. The album cover came out in 2001. You still don't know what a lodge looks like? You still don't know Masonry when you see it? And then the day of the 25th anniversary, they announced that they're rebuilding the second tower of the World Trade Center. Nigga, you do not understand Masonry. So this conversation has been going over people's heads forever in a fucking day and landing directly in the White House. Now they got a war on woke where they got a goddamn hit list with niggas like other people's names on it, because I'm not going to say my name, right? In the attempts to wake niggas up. Only thing that we have done is poke the bear. If you don't get this information at this point of the narrative, right? At this point of the narrative. So we don't necessarily look at it conspiratorially. We're saying that it's a narrative that's playing out. It's a cosmic narrative, and the pieces on the board have been personified as people. Who else carries cosmic energy? Who else carries the star energy, star power, star quality that's made from star dust? So it has to be us. I'm just telling you that you also, right, are a star in your show, a star in your movie. Own that, reclaim it, stand on top of it, and amplify it so we can all be in the audience of your movie. We can be seated in your theater, observing your movie, your narrative play out on the screen. I'm sure that you got as an interesting story as the Odyssey, right? More of us telling our stories is what we need right now. The storytelling will restore us because we have the most beautiful story. So this is the cosmic story taking place right now on July 27th. That's tomorrow. So this is advanced information that you can get ready and prepared with. July 27th. That's tomorrow. The lunar node changes signs. The north node enters Aquarius and the south node enters Leo. The nodes will stay in Leo and Aquarius until March 27, 2028. So the nodes are like, if you look at a pole, right, the nodes will be the eraser and the sharpener and the sharpened tip. And they do separate things. The eraser erases and the tip of the pencil writes. So that's the way that you can understand the difference between north node, south node. Nodal shifts are huge because for 18 months at a time, they shift the focus of an entirely different axis of the chart. We can't analyze nodal transits the same way we analyze a Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, or any other planetary transit for that matter. Why? All planets by default have a forward motion, right? The lunar nodes are the only archetypes whose default motion through the zodiac is backwards. In the past 18 months, they have been in Pisces and Virgo, and now they have reached 0 degrees Pisces and Virgo, and they will move to 29 degrees Aquarius and Leo. So that's the critical degree. So we're coming in with a bang. What is otherwise an anaretic degree for any other planet is the very point of entry for the lunar nodes. What does this mean in practice? Think about the planets move around the sun as a movie that develops scene by scene. The characters go through a series of experience and transformations as they move from one stage to another. Everything flows in the same direction as time itself, forward. The lunar nodes, the karmic editing mechanism. But then comes the nodes. The nodes move backward against time, against the natural progression of the story, as if reviewing the footage from a higher vantage point. They look for community errors, places where the character, the identity that we have developed, no longer matches the direction in which life is trying to move. The South Node reveals what has become repetitive, overdeveloped, or no longer necessary. The North Node introduces the missing pieces, the unfamiliar quality that must now be developed for the story to continue, right? The lunar nodes work together as a karmic editing mechanism, continuously readjusting our identity so that who we have become remains aligned with who we are becoming. While in Pisces and Virgo, the lunar nodes have been reviewing and editing the parts of our lives ruled by Virgo Pisces axis. At a mundane level, they have rewarded and recalibrated everything that has been set into motion by Saturn and Pisces, which is 2023 to 2026, and Neptune in Pisces, 2011 to 2026, right? We've been speaking about those transits. Now in Aquarius and Leo, the focus shifts to the change of motion by Pluto in Aquarius and Jupiter in Leo. See how that works? And the negotiation between our individual identity and the collective systems we belong to. The Leo Aquarius axis. In our natal charts, the Leo Aquarius axis is a pair of houses with or without planets that are locked in dialogue with each other. If you have a Leo rising, all right, I'm not going to pull you through that. But yeah, it's a lot here. It's a lot of information. And it's a beautiful transformation. It's a beautiful time that we're in. You know what I'm saying? I will definitely recommend that you go and look it up. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat here on YouTube. If you on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, yeah, just look up North Node enters Aquarius, South Node enters Jupiter. Enters Leo. All right, go look that up, and that'll bring you the information. You can finish that article on your own. But let's see if it pops up in scripture before we get up out of here. All right, because we're writing this in real time. Although it was written, it's already been written. We're still navigating through it because words are worlds. and thoughts are things, and we are careening down our our stream of thought. We're careening down the stream of thought collectively. We're in the same arc. Remember, y'all, we started this in Genesis. We started in the ark. We're careening down this water. It might be flooding outside, but we're whipping the wave, and we're flowing together down this stream of thought. Ultimately, get to Revelation, to get to Philadelphia, on our way to Philly, right? And we say on our way to Philly. That means we're in the Bible heading to Revelations. That's what that means. And we say we on our way to Phillies, nigga, we headed to Revelations. So we on our way to Philly right now. Bear with me. 2 Timothy, do you have a 7th chapter for us? 2 Timothy, no, you don't. Hebrews, do you have a 7th chapter for me? I know that we got a 7th chapter in Hebrews, right? Do you have a 7:26 for me, good Hebrews? We got 7:26 for you. Yes, we do, Brother Blue. Okay, let's get to it. Hebrews 7:26, a superior priesthood, I shall say, a superior priesthood. On behalf of Mineral Ministry, I shall say, a superior priesthood. Therefore, he is able to save completely those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to intercede for them. Such a high priest truly befits us, one who is holy, innocent, undefiled, set apart from sinners, and exalted above the heavens. Unlike the other high priests, he does not need to offer daily sacrifices, first for his own sins and then for the sins of the people. He sacrificed for sin once for all when he offered up himself. So this is the demarcation. This is the shift. This is what makes Christians separate from Jews, or Gentiles separate from, what they call the quote unquote Jews. They don't do animal sacrifice no more. So for the people that are locked into the older paradigm, or what they call the origins of this narrative, do you guys still do animal sacrifice, right? To weigh the wages of your sins, to gain the ear of your God, because he only transacts in blood. Where these new guys are saying, we have a messianic savior who covered himself in blood and committed the abominable act, which is what? Human sacrifice. In the spiritual systems, that's considered a cheat code. You feel me? That they have all agreed upon initially, before this narrative gets started like this, that they're not going to use that cheat code. So they was doing it to the animals. Then comes Jesus, and he collapsed the wave, right? And utilizes his own blood on the altar, as in the eternal spring of life is springing the blood that's forever flowing as a sacrifice. He got an open bar on blood on your behalf. That's what he wants you to believe. You would dedicate your life to him as well if that's what you truly believed. Beleft. If you truly believed that yourself, my nigga, I'm sure that you too would think that you owe somebody like that everything. Yeah, man, this shit is, for the people who are ensnared by this in terms of the mental illness of what religion can ultimately become. Oh, they must really have it bad. And I sympathize with them. I really do. I'm not here making light of it. I'm here shedding light on it, but I'm not making light of it. You know what I'm saying? This can really lock somebody in. But luckily, we got a master key. You know what I'm saying? And we allow ourselves to have understanding. We allow ourselves to have compassion. We allow ourselves to reason. We allow ourselves to look to logic. You know what I'm saying? We allow ourselves to be receptive to intuition, right? But we also allow ourselves the ability to be law bringers and law givers. I didn't say judge, jury, and executioner. I just said the law givers and the law bringers. So I'm going to end it here. Revelations on the road to Philadelphia. We made it to Philly. Shout out to Philly, right? But we don't got a 726 in Revelation. So I got to condense it and go to 7-8. The 2 and the 6 become the 8 because the 2-6 is the number of Yahweh, right? So we're going to reduce that 2-6 and we're going to bring it down to 8 because they kept talking about LeBron and this number 8 all day yesterday. And then they kept talking about Kobe and this number 8 with Kobe. So we're going to stick with this number 8 because they kept resonating on 8. And the man is about to make $8 million, $4 million 1 year and $4 million the next. Why? Because he's a motherfucking 44 resonator. But we already knew this. We already knew this. We've been knew that. We've been said it too. So let's go to Revelation 7-8. And oh, what do we have here? 144,000 sealed. And they just doing the count that started on Revelation 7:4. Because Revelation 7:4 is what starts the breakdown of the 144,000. That's why July 4th, 1776 is 4 times 444, 1776, because it's all a boxed in Masonic ritual that they hitting you with. They just working them 44s on you. From the tribe of Simeon is 12,000. From the tribe of Levi, 12,000. From the tribe of Issachar, 12,000. From the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000. From the tribe of Joseph, 12,000. From the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000. After this, I looked and saw a multitude too large to count. And from every nation and tribe and people and tongue standing before the throne and before the Lamb, they were wearing white robes and holding palm branches in their hands. Hallelujah. Amen. Go tell your grandmother that you love her. Please do. Have some mercy. Show some passion. She ain't mean you no harm, right? Our people have resonated with this information. I don't think our people are bad. Our people are not harmful and they're not stupid. They're not morons. They have just been enticed by a story, a very good one, that's been told with a lot of compassion and vigor. They are convinced, right, that they are tethered to this narrative, that there's something familiar about this poem that resonates with them. There's something familiar about this epic or this odyssey that rings familiar with them. So they refuse to put it down. Some of them even ran a lot closer and nearer to it. And they dragged us with them on the way. So a lot of children are resentful for how their parents introduced them to religion. And I understand that. You know, I'm just asking you on this day, just have some mercy on them, show them some compassion, reaffirm with them that you love them, reclaim the love of yourself, the love of your family, the love of your bloodline and generation. You know, a lot of people are separate from their family because of religion and the fact that they don't agree with, you know, things that they've been taught, what they consider to be indoctrination. But don't hate on your folks. Some people have told me very hurtful stories about their folks, that they have left certain church institutions and their folks turn their backs on them. Their people have chose Jesus over their children, right? Or the church over their children, or the institution over their children. Don't blame it on Jesus. But you can be the better, you can be the bigger, I don't want to say better, but the more compassionate person in this exchange, just by showing some compassion, just by showing some, you know, I forgive you, for you know me not. You struggling to know yourself, you know, and it's not promised to us in this lifetime that we even going to get it in one lifetime. So let's show some compassion. You feel me? Today is the Reclamation Day. It's day 1 in the Mayan calendar. Before we leave real quick, let's say, what year is it in the Mayan calendar? I think it's Red Electric Moon is the year, but we'll see what that means, right? For the people in the back. For the people in the back. We'll see, what does that mean? right? How you supposed to be in tune with this particular vibrational frequency, since so many of our people are identifying with the Americas, right? This is a landmass that energy still permeates through the whole Americas, north, south, and central. You feel me? I would think that you would want to know the landmass that you standing on. What are they resonating with? Let's go to lawoftime.org. Shout out to Jose Arguelles, the master teacher who taught about the Mayan time and the law of the cube. The law of the cube is 441. It's a flip of 144. Shout out to this brother. Come on, man. 13-month calendar is what they stand on. All right. Live in Maya time. Cool. All right. Convert. See what today's calendar is. They showing me glyphs and stuff. I get it, my nigga. Give me a second. The Mayan New Year. Come on. Look, I'll post about it. Okay. Again, as always, I want to say thank you. If you feel it in your heart to make a donation, here is the address where that can be done to. Nonetheless, we appreciate you here at Mineral Ministries. I'm gonna post a video as well. Like I noticed that the garden that we've been growing here, it has 2x itself. Like since last week. Shout out to Brother Rich. We did a episode here in the garden or in the farm over at Farmy. We did a episode, and I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a result of the love that people were showing. I don't know if it's a result of the new sun that has been amplifying. I don't know if it's a result of the rain that we've been getting, but the garden just 2x itself out of nowhere in like 1 week. It 2x itself. So I was growing 2 stalks of amaranth. Now it's like 6 of them. You know, the eggplants are growing. All of the leaves grew so much more defined, and the stalks are bigger, and everything is just budding beautifully. But it happened like it quantum leaped damn near like overnight. So I want to believe that that's a result of the love that people are exchanging and showing and projecting to this beautiful edifice, this place, this garden. But I want to see that for you as well. I want to see that for other people in the audience and their family. So I want to spark this. I can show my appreciation for Brother Rich, for Father Rich, for Radiohead Rich, by telling you about these Radiohead cigars. These are amazing. They blow incredibly smooth, and they just, everything just tastes so unadulterated. You know what I'm saying? You can hit up Brother Rich if you want to purchase cigars. DM him on, if you listen to this on Instagram, through Radiohead Rich. And of course, if you're here on YouTube, you can pull up to the brother on his next broadcast. DM him, or I know that there's another way to do it. I just don't know all of the instructions. But just holler at the brother, and let him know. You know what I'm saying? These joints is cosmic. They're smooth. As I speak about the ancestors of the Americas, as I speak about reclamation, as I speak about us taking our power back, you know what I'm saying? And as I got through this amazing sermon today, I owe it to myself. So I just want to take this moment. I'm going to share it with y'all, but I owe it to myself. Good job. Yeah, get you one of these joints. You feel me? And again, 88 Lionsgate, we will be at Plant Based and Juice, which is in the west end of Atlanta. Formerly, it was Healthy Essence. It's right in the back of Wadada. Shout out to Wadada. She has a Decatur location. We will definitely be beating the drums on that any second now, inviting people out and showing the community where it's located, because it's in Decatur. It's right in your neighborhood, in your backyard. If you are in Decatur where it's greater. You dig what I'm saying? And she could definitely use your support. She's there for the community. And let's build our own around our own. How many more reminders, how many more examples do we need to see that we have to do for self? That the only ones that are going to care and take care of us are us. So what other reason do you need but to snap back into shape with some senses? Time to do for self. It's time to support those that do for you and do for us as well. Let's stop playing with this concept of a village and actually activate it for the sake of the babies. Peace, love, and light. Yeah, I'm gonna let that song ring off.
Can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sing 3-pointers, money shots, all net, all vets. Bumps we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept the storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, yeah, the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual Clarence 13X, a worthy guest. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North Mex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson. The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch stores type. For that soft white, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my fourth flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost their souls, niggas got holes in their feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descended of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind that the waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Bless.